welcome to our second edition of UBC News Tonight on this 19th day of March 2026. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto. Now, just to remind you that tomorrow, Friday, the 20th of March 2026, is Eid al-Fitr, and of course the Muslims around the world will be celebrating Eid tomorrow. So that one was on an official announcement from the Ministry of Public Service to all Ugandans. Now, I start off with a top story this evening. The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mrs. Janet Museveni, has commended the strong and long-standing partnership between Uganda and the European Union as the two sides prepare to mark 50 years of bilateral cooperation. She expressed gratitude to the EU's continued support towards changing the quality of life of Ugandans through various initiatives, including programs focused on skill development, employment, entrepreneurship and private sector development, as well as social protection efforts targeting women and the youth. We have the story.
Mrs. Museveni reaffirmed Uganda's commitment to strengthening its partnership with the European Union, expressing optimism for continued collaboration in the years ahead.
We do thank God for the long-standing partnership with EU, and we thank you for holding hands with us in our endeavor to change the quality of life of our people. We really can't thank you enough, and we hope that this partnership will continue and it will improve and it will become bigger as we build the global village.
She also welcomed the upcoming EU-Uganda Research and Study Fair, describing it as timely and beneficial to Uganda's education sector.
I'm happy now to hear about the EU-Uganda Study Fair that you are organizing this year, which will bring together higher education institutions and showcase study and research opportunities available to Ugandan students.
The study fair, scheduled for June 4th at Mbarara University, is being positioned as a flagship activity in celebrations marking 50 years of cooperation between Uganda and the European Union. On education infrastructure, the First Lady assured the delegation that the ministry would fast-track coding approval for 6 schools to enable infrastructure development under ongoing EU-supported programs. The EU ambassador described the 50th year of bilateral cooperation between the European Union and Uganda as a milestone that offers an important opportunity to celebrate and further strengthen the long-standing partnership.
And this initiative, the Study Fair, it aims to bring together European and Ugandan higher education institutions, obviously, to promote academic mobility and to showcase study and research opportunities available to Ugandan students and universities through our programs, the Erasmus Plus program that I think you are aware of, and other complementary European Union member states programs.
Mbarara University is very happy to host the fair at our grounds for many reasons. After the government of Uganda, the largest research funding for Mbarara University comes from the European Union. Currently, we have more than 45 projects running funded by the European Union. Okay. If Mbarara University has finally recovered her position worldwide as a top research university, it is because of the support that we get from partners, particularly the European Union.
The ambassador further highlighted key EU-supported initiatives in Uganda, including the £114 million Gender for Development program, which focuses on girls' education, life skills development, and the prevention of gender-based violence in northern Uganda. Reporting for UBC Baguma William.
The Presidential Advisor on Security, Lieutenant General Proscovia Naloiso, has donated 5 cows to support Muslim families as they prepare for Eid al-Fitr prayers tomorrow. The donation was delivered on her behalf by Haji Sulaiman Samakula at Majid Jamida Mosque in Bukesa in Kampala.
As Muslims around the world prepare for Eid al-Fitr prayers, veteran military officer and presidential advisor on security, Lieutenant General Proscovia Naloiso, has donated 5 cows as Eid gifts to Muslims in Kampala.
Fegamba nti omuntu atasobola kusiima munne tasobola na kusiima Katonda. Bw'oba tosobodde kusiima General Proscovia Naloiso kyatukoledde leero kitegeeza tolina ddiini ku mutima gwo. Naloiso tatera nnyo kwagala musimira mu kamera ng'akoze ebintu bye naye nze njagadde nkikole.
Handing over the package on behalf of Naloiso, Haji Sulaiman Semakula said the relationship between religious communities and the government has grown stronger over time. Haji Sulaiman Semakula urged Muslims to continue supporting and cooperating with the government in order to benefit from its programs and services.
Kirungi nnyo okusiima omuntu ng'akyaliwo. Tukwebaza General Proscovia Naloiso, twebaza President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni olw'eddembe lye mutuleetedde mu Uganda. Nkubiriza abantu bonna ogenda okukola. Teri mukulembeze agenda kuteeka ssente mu nsawo. Ne mu America teri mukulembeze agaba ssente. Naye President Museveni agaba ssente za PDM. Era neebaza nnyo abasiraamu mwenna baamulonda mbagaliza Eid ennungi.
Sheikh Ismail Semwanga, speaking on behalf of the beneficiaries, expressed gratitude to Lieutenant General Naloiso and President Museveni for their generosity and support. He also encouraged the faithful to uphold good morals and discipline even after the fasting period ends.
Mu Buganda bagamba nti akuwa gokola ki gwowa naffe tutwala okwebaza kwaffe n'okusiima kwaffe eri ow'ekitiibwa General Proscovia Naloiso olw'okubeera nga atulabawo kanjogere mu njogera ennaku zino kubanga Ramadan yali etandika yatuwa ebisiibula abasiraamu ne ku nkomero yagenda nti ate abaddu bange babadde basiiba abaddu ba Allah babadde basiiba ate balina okusiibuluka naga nti enva zizina azituwadde nti ennungi nti alhamdulillah tusaba Mungu abeere nga amukuumira ebintu bye.
Amwaiva Njuko for UBC.
The Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has called for increased funding to Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital to improve health service delivery to people it serves. The committee noted that the hospital operated on a budget of 17.9 billion shillings for the financial year 2024-25, yet it serves a population of over 6 million people, including refugees.
Because we want you to protect the gains seriously.
Officials from Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital appeared before the Public Accounts Committee to respond to accountability queries raised in the Auditor's General Report for the financial year ending 2025.
Then we spend. NTR is later receipted.
It was revealed that the hospital operates under severe constraints, including limited space. The facility also lacks essential equipment, including wheelchairs for over 10 years and X-ray services.
You see how burdened our patients are. Just imagine for that period when you didn't have an X-ray.
Yeah.
I come to Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital, no X-ray services. Now you are told to go to Mbarara town and not to accommodate patients in the tent. And you ably said that even mothers who have given birth are also part of the ones that are accommodated in a tent as a ward. That is purely unacceptable and far below standard.
You have so many equipment laying non-functional just because there is nobody who is responsible for that.
Committee members also questioned hospital officials over the failure to utilize over 600 million shillings meant for pension and gratuity and other expenditures.
Tell us how you used it, since you have had that building which has stood for a very long time, whatever. But give us those correspondences between you and the accountant general, so that we take it up from there.
It comes to this 692 million that you didn't spend. Underutilization of warrants. That is 3.11. Can you speak to why didn't we? This is under human capital, administrative and support services, hospital management support services. What happened? What?
We had a delay of the constitution of the New Health Service Commission. Then the Minister of Public Service halted the original plan of retiring all of them after the abolition of the office.
Hospital officials, led by the accounting officer Dr. Deus Tosije, responded to the queries.
We had an increment on the side of the drugs, and we received some good surprise. I'm very happy to announce that now we have all these machines working.
To NMS does not provide consumables for the CT scan. We always have now to use that other and the cost sharing mechanism first obtain the consumables for the MRI and the CT scan.
The committee emphasized that the current 17 billion shillings allocation is insufficient and called for an increase in funding to enhance service delivery at the facility.
So we take note that this budget is too low for Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital, considering the population that it does serve. So it's in our interest that we do a bigger bargain for Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital, because the area of coverage, these are 12 districts.
Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital serves a population of over 6 million people, including refugees from 2 settlements. Rebecca Natongo, Gloria Gutabinji at Parliament.
You have
High Court Judge Isaac Muwata has declined to grant bail to SSP Nixon Agasire, who is accused in the murder of Joan Namazi Kagezi on grounds that he did not present exceptional circumstances to justify his release. The court was also of the view that Agasire has a large number of pending criminal files, which suggests a pattern of criminal conduct.
At around 11:30 a.m., the former Special Police Commander SSP Nixon Agasire was arraigned at High Court Criminal Division in Kampala before Judge Isaac Muwata to hear his bail ruling. SSP Nixon Agasire is faced with 1 count of murdering Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions Joan Namazi Kagezi, which offences he faces with Samjo Abdul Nur alias Minana. Before Judge Isaac Muwata, after perusing both sides' submissions, he denied SSP Nixon Agasire's bail application.
The court has carefully weighed the applicant's constitutional right to liberty and his history of compliance with the previous controversial proceedings. However, this must be balanced against the gravity of the current murder charge and the multiple active capital investigation incited by the state. The failure to substantively explain the status of this active investigation is.
Judge Isaac Muwata added that following the pending criminal files against the accused and other files which are still under investigations, the accused Agasire can't be granted bail.
Combined with the fact that the applicant has now been committed for trial and the fact that the applicant has not proved the exceptional circumstances that justify his release, the bail creates an unacceptably high risk that the English of justice will be prejudiced by his release. At this stage, accordingly, the application for bail is hereby dismissed. So order.
According to court records, basing on Agasire's character and antecedents, although he claims to be a law-abiding citizen, the prosecution reviewed a list of capital offences under investigations, among others kidnap with intent to murder, aggravated robbery and murder that happened in Masaka, and a list enrichment file pending against him at CID. SSP Nixon Agasire applying for bail, alleged being his constitutional right, being a first-time offender, advanced age of 54, and that he has a permanent place of abode. However, all the grounds were objected by the prosecution, led by the Assistant Director of Public Prosecution Richard Billy Vombuka. Trouble for Nixon Agasire started following the evidence in chief by Ewan Kiseka, a convict, in the murder case of Assistant DPP Joan Namazi Kagezi, who pinned the SSP Nixon Agasre to have been the mastermind behind the murder of Joan Namazekageze. The evidence in the International War Crimes Division Court led to the arrest of Nixon Agasre and the one Abdunul Semuju alias Minana by security operatives Deborah Namamonde. Viola Nansubuga, UBC News.
The government of Iceland, through the United Nations Population Fund, has donated medical equipment worth 1 billion shillings to health centers in Namaingo district to boost maternal health care and address rising fistula cases in the Busoga sub-region. We have more.
Thank you for photo moment purposes. But of course,
it has helped the community because people used to live with this problem when they don't have hope, they didn't have money to go for the surgeries, they were neglected, families had broken up because no man would manage to be with their wife who is leaking, smelling the house every day.
From the specialized care that is needed, it costs a lot, and some of these things we are not in position to do them. But through the funders, we have been able to procure complex machines that are required for the care of these patients.
And these equipments are very useful. For example, a scan, an ultrasound scan, which we never had in any public facility within Namaingo. So the scan they have donated one, it's the first in the district, and it helps in mothers, one, to see how their babies are seated and how their babies are growing. And it's not only for mothers, it's for the general population. Because recently we have been sending mothers and other patients outside for scan, and a single scan costs between 20 and 25,000, which most people do not afford. We have also received beds because most of our patients have been sleeping down, but now that we have gotten new beds plus blankets and bed sheets, they will help in patient care.
Then we do the surgeries, which we've been able here to provide the equipment and the skills to provide the surgeries. And then after the surgery is done, we've worked with the women to make sure that they can start a small business or they have some economic empowerment opportunities so that they can go back into the community and live with confidence and dignity.
Ultrasound has now reached this health center, the first one for the district as far as we understand. And here I could also see we have a lot of delivery beds, we have some wheelchairs and some other minor equipments. But the full list you'll find from the district, from the Ministry of Health and the implementing partners.
16 districts located in island and mountainous areas are facing severe gaps in healthcare service delivery, with some lacking health center falls and hospitals, as well as essential medical equipment and ambulances. This is according to the Access to Healthcare Services report released by the Equal Opportunities Commission at its headquarters in Kampala. The Commission has called on government to urgently improve healthcare services in hard-to-reach areas, emphasizing that no Ugandan should be left behind in accessing quality healthcare.
It is a balanced report. It acknowledges the improvements that government has put in place, but also acknowledges the gaps that still persist that the government should be able to fill.
The study conducted in districts, including Kalangala District, Buvuma District, and Namisindwa District, reveals that access to adequate health care remains a major challenge. This is attributed to limited communication infrastructure, with many islands lacking reliable network coverage, especially during emergencies.
We found that, for example, Buvuma, they mentioned that they had water ambulance, but it was difficult to fuel these ambulances. It had a sub-county in Kabong district called Timu sub-county, but in this sub-county, they didn't even have a health center 3. The only health center there was a health center 2. It was operated by one nurse, to make matters worse.
Residents also depend on a single mode of water transport, which is often unreliable and expensive.
For a single trip, one has to spend around 300,000 shillings. Now imagine you have to go to the mainland and then when you heal, you will have to come back home. So that is a trip of about 600,000. But then when you reach the mainland, you need a land transport, which is an ambulance to transport you at the mainland from one place to another.
The absence of healthcare center threes in sub-counties, coupled with the shortage of health professionals, denies communities access to critical services such as maternal care, laboratory testing, and emergency treatment.
I want to talk about the health policy. It states that each district should have at least a health center or a district hospital. But in some districts we visited, like Namisindwa, you find that there is no health center government health center but also there is no hospital.
The chairperson of the commission, Safia Nalejuku, has called for urgent government intervention to address these challenges and ensure equitable access to health services.
It is therefore important that we collectively come together to reflect on these issues and identify practical approaches that will ensure that all Ugandans, regardless of their geographic location, can benefit from quality health services.
Various stakeholders at the report launch share their thoughts on the report.
Even you'll find that the planning for medicines and supplies is poor. They will plan maybe for half the population.
We were given boat ambulances, and we are very grateful. But the cost of operating a boat ambulance, we have given some maintenance money, 5 million for a quarter. But you can't make more than 10 referrals.
Without prompt intervention, the report warns that thousands of residents in island communities will remain cut off from life-saving health services. Rebecca Natongo, Susan Inabugude for UBC News.
So, Muchara.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight. Huh? For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later. Huh?
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get Momo goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
Welcome back to UBC News Tonight. Residents of Nsekwa and Kakunyu villages in Namusera Parish, Mende Sub-County in Wakiso District are celebrating after government intervened to restore them to their Bibanja land following years of eviction and suffering. The State Minister for Lands, Honorable Dr. Sam Mayanja, visited the area to implement a court order together with findings from the State House Anti-Corruption Unit headed by Brigadier General Henry Isoke. The dispute stems from actions by Dr. Apollo Kagwa, who had allegedly evicted residents, demolished homes, destroyed plantations, and even graveyards on approximately 1 square mile of land.
At around 3 p.m., State Minister for Lands, Honorable Dr. Sam Mayanja, accompanied by Wakiso Resident District Commissioner Justin Mbabazi, arrived in Kakunyu village to address the long-standing conflict. Residents narrated years of harassment, torture, and loss of property, accusing authorities of failing to protect them despite repeated appeals. They thanked the minister for his intervention.
So no ensonga eyo mukama wange minister bwoba
at least tulagira abaana babwe ekiyumba ekyo kiveeyo kubanga mwe mutula bakifeesi nebuzira ekiro batayiza abantu awo ku kkubo tulina fayiro nga 3 bareepingako n'abakazi
okututaasa omusajja ono kaggwa kyatukola yatuleetera bakifeesi babeera omwo baagala kututta batwewerera buli lukya bagamba baagala tutta kwe kufuna emirembe awooninga ne gavumenti namba.
According to the report from the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, as well as the court ruling, the affected residents are the rightful occupants of the Bibanja on the disputed land, as highlighted by the minister.
Recommended that restatement be done systematically, giving due regard to previous location and size of the land claimed, and to involve key stakeholders, including the local authorities.
Made it impossible for them to return to their land. So he raised issues. We thought, okay, let's look at them. He said these people, he compensated them. And they are imposters. These 11 people were genuine Bibanja holders and must return to their Bibanja. He went to court. Court has declared that they are genuine and it must be there. So now, today, we have implemented our first directive, implemented General Soke's report, and those people are now back to their land.
He further directed the RDC to ensure that residents are provided with security of occupancy moving forward.
My coffin is ready because I'm ready to die on the land. And please prepare your coffin. Make sure your coffin is ready. And also prepare several bags where the bodies of other people are going to be packed, and all of us be buried and meet the next world. Of course, that was threatening me that I should not come. But my commander-in-chief, Yoweri Museveni, is the commander-in-chief of the army. He has all the guns and all the what. All these evitibas we have are coming from the president's commander. So I can call upon him to give me all the security. I don't think Dr. Kagwa can mobilize security which will defeat the security which Yoweri Museveni has.
The visit ended in celebration, with residents slaughtering a bull, dancing and expressing relief after years of displacement and suffering. It should be recalled that Minister Mayanja first intervened in 2022, helping 11 families after their homes, plantations and burial sites were destroyed.
Minister, RDC, DPC, banetubebaza kyonna kye mutukoledde.
Kira Maria etukulembedde emisango ne gigwa mwezi guno. Twebaza nnyo.
Sandra Kahonde, Jamel Sekaja, News Tonight.
The Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Water and Environment, Dr. Alfred Okidi, has challenged Ugandans to always support efforts aimed at conserving the environment for their own good. Dr. Okidi says government and the ministry in particular is employing all strategies and tactics in promoting environmental conservation, but led down by Dr. Okidi. He remarked this as he received and welcomed Walkers for Water and Environment from their 560-kilometer walk from Moroto to Kampala that was aimed at creating awareness about environmental conservation.
On their arrival in Kampala, the Workers for Water and Environment visited Parliament, where they presented a petition detailing their findings, requesting the August House to prioritize matters of water and environment.
Improve water supply and groundwater management by investing in climate resilient water infrastructure such as valley dams and bulk water transfer.
They were received by the Workers MP Abdul Byakatonda, who also sits on the Parliamentary Committee on Water, Sanitation and Hygiene.
When we talk of facilitating the middle income status, we are talking of health. We are talking of life expectancy. You are talking of per capita income. So you cannot actually save money when you are having these other preventable diseases like diarrhea, cholera. So ladies and gentlemen, I think it is an appeal that we fight this as a team, and I think this is a very good partnership that we should actually take on.
From here, they proceeded to the Ministry of Water and Environment headquarters in Ruzira via Bugolobi. Here, speaker after speaker praised the workers for the patriotism exhibited and successfully spreading the gospel of environmental conservation.
How do we connect walking to emission reductions, to better roads, to better footpaths so that people can walk? And we thank you so much for putting a dent onto that advocacy.
We want to make that message sing, because advocacy is collective effort, and everyone will communicate to and understand that why we need to protect these resources is as important as that.
Dr. Alfred Okot Okiditu lauded the team and implored Ugandans to borrow a leaf, employ whichever skill they have in promoting environmental conservation.
Plant trees. Do not destroy wetlands. Respect the rivers and the lake shores. And be mindful, climate change is already with us.
Dr. Okidi also challenged Ugandans to collectively support government efforts by observing environmental laws.
The irresponsible disposal of plastic, for example, has caused losses for people who are innocent. It is affecting agriculture because it affects the soil fertility. Invasion of wetlands is responsible for partly for the flooding, but also for the pollution of these lakes and river bodies. When we cut the trees, then we start complaining it is too hot. You're removing the cover that is supposed to shelter you from this additional heat. So really, as a country, we need to respect our homes that were given to us by the Creator, the Maker.
The 560-kilometer walk was a precursor for the upcoming Uganda Water and Environment Week that is marked annually in observation of 3 important days: World Forest Day, World Water Day, and World Meteorology Day. Mutonyi Hilda and Dorcas Kimono, UBC.
In a move to increase digital transformation, the Uganda Institute of Information and Communication and its partners have donated 30 computers to 3 training ICT centers in Mayuge, Busia and Dokolo districts to support training delivery and strengthen digital services. Handing over computers, the principal of UICT cautioned them to maintain them in proper status and ensure they meet the target of transforming the community digitally. This was also during the 3-day national training on effective ICT center operations and maintenance.
The 3 ICT training centers include Waitambogwe Secondary in Mayuge, Bohobe Secondary in Busia and St. John Bosco in Dokolo, with an appeal to ensure that trained personnel are not only skilled but also fully equipped to deliver digital training and services immediately within the communities. Handing over the equipment, Principal of Uganda Institute of Information Communication in Nakawa, represented by his deputy, Dr. Irene Nachiyimba, challenged leaders of all ICT centers to focus on the digital transformation agenda of using technology to ease service delivery for all Ugandans.
It's about using ICTs to ease service delivery for every Ugandan, whether in education, whether in roads, whether wherever, but you must seem to impact.
Dr. Nachimba cautioned about mismanagement of ICT equipment that have been awarded to these institutions.
I am not bothered about UCE. I'm not bothered about USCE. I want that your school to become a digital center to transform the community. And there I will say, yes, we have done it and achieved.
Francis Wide, the Office Administration Business Development at UICT, highlights the criteria of identifying the 3 centers that needed more support.
They were able to send somebody specifically to come and assess those centers, and they were able to do a physical assessment, and they were able to identify that this particular center need some assistance in terms of equipment.
Some of the beneficiaries commended the support rendered and shared previous challenges.
Because initially we've been dealing with just the students within our community, but now I think it makes it easier for us to even go out to the community for these trainings.
In our school we had computers, the N computers. They were like 20, but the unfortunate part of it was that the N computing, the software runs out. And we managed to service a few.
Impacted very many people in our community of Busia. You know, Busia being at the border district, most of the youths there, they engage in these informal jobs.
The initiative aimed at strengthening operational readiness, enhancing accountability systems, and significantly expands the capacity of centers to deliver inclusive digital skills training across Uganda. I'm Nafka Farida and Andrew Sebida.
Mama, owulira otya?
Mpulira essanyu lingi nnyo.
Bannange.
Bannange MTN neyanzizza.
Taata w'omwana ogenda mugambako oba wali wano?
Taliiwo. Ssente ze mbadde ngenda okusasula ku school fees z'omukulu zigenda kunnyambako okuweerera batoobe abalala ababiri. MTN mama ngenkoledde kinene ng'asinga omumaama. Sirijjerabira obulamu bwange bwonna.
Genda kusimya kusasula school fees, nyiga star 155 star 80 ashi sasula school fees. Ngokozesa momo school funds masomero tugenda zigaba. Osobola okwewola waliwo school fees loan, genda ofune loan, oba tolinawo ssente ozisasule mu bbanga mpola mpola obulamu butambulenga buli koona.
Welcome back, and now into business. Uganda's oil and gas journey is steadily moving towards fast oil. But long before the first barrel is produced, lives are already being transformed. In the heart of the Albertine Graben, the Total Energies EP-Uganda operated Tilenga project in Bulisa district, and is not only developing oil fields, it is investing in people. We track the progress impact of the Tilenga oil project on communities in the Albertine region.
In workshops across Hoima and Bulisa, the hum of sewing machines, the clang of carpentry tools, and the revving of motorcycle engines tell a story of transition from uncertainty to self-reliance. Through its livelihood restoration program, Tilenga has trained over 1,000 beneficiaries in hands-on skills including tailoring, carpentry, mechanics, welding, hairdressing, agribusiness, and entrepreneurship. Many of the trainees are project-affected persons rebuilding their economic stability. Achen Monica, a resident of Hoima district, is one of them. Once uncertain about her future after land acquisition processes began, today she runs a growing tailoring business.
I benefited a lot from Total Energies. I was trained, then given internship opportunity. Now I am able to properly use my sewing machine. It has enabled me to make money, to buy foodstuff, and also improve my livelihood.
For Monica, the training was more than learning how to stitch gamuts. It was about restoring dignity and independence. Augustine Oketh and Patrick Otim share a similar story of transformation. Oketh is now a certified motorcycle mechanic serving riders in his community, while Otim has established himself as a professional carpenter, producing furniture for local households and schools.
I have managed to build a better house. My income was initially very low, but it improved over time. After attaining this skill, these days I make around 400,000 to 500,000 shillings per month. I thank the government of Uganda and Total Energies for empowering us.
These individual stories reflect a broader strategy. The Tilenga project, one of Uganda's upstream oil developments located in Bulisa and Noya districts, is part of the country's commercial oil production plan, expected to deliver an estimated 190,000 barrels of oil per day at peak production. But beyond production targets, the emphasis has also been on national content and local capacity building. Felipe Grox, the general manager of Total Energies EP-Uganda, says community empowerment remains central to the company's sustainability agenda.
This first part, which is a training I took it, will be followed by other sessions in international oil and gas training center and also with hands-on experience directly on the Tilenga project during the commissioning phase.
Uganda's Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabirwa, notes that oil and gas development must translate into tangible benefits for ordinary citizens.
And Ugandans out there must know that very soon you will have experts who are Ugandans, because these foreign expatriates have trained them, retrained them, they have impacted technology and skills, and they have prepared them for further participation.
And we compensated the project-affected persons, but we didn't stop at that. As part of this compensation and the resettlement, we had a robust livelihood restoration program.
Beyond skilling, Tilenga has invested significantly in education infrastructure within its operational areas. Dozens of classrooms have been constructed or rehabilitated, sanitary facilities upgraded, and scholarships awarded to bright but underprivileged learners.
This scholarship brought peace in our family, unity and cooperation.
As Uganda awaits its first oil expected to position the country among Africa's oil producers, the social and economic dividends are already visible at the grassroots. From sewing machines in Hoima to carpentry workshops in Bulisa, the promise of sustainably exploiting Uganda's natural resources for inclusive growth is steadily taking shape, one skilled hand at a time.
Ugandans concerned about the rising cost of fuel have been urged to remain calm, with government assuring the public of a stable and sufficient supply of petroleum products. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development says the recent increase in petrol and diesel prices is only temporary and largely driven by external market disruptions. Speaking to UBC, Engineer Irene Batebe, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, said the government, through UNOC, continues to hold the stock that will take the country through March and April, despite the ongoing war in the Middle East.
It is important that we once again reassure the nation that we remain well served with petroleum products. Just like the Honorable Minister communicated to the nation through our press release, we continue to hold stocks that will take us for the next couple of months. And why? Because the ships supplying us our product through March and April had already traversed the Strait of Hormuz. But also critically, we have a robust partner, Vito, that is partnering with UNOC, and they continue to look beyond supplies through the Strait of Hormuz to ensure that the country remains supplied. Therefore, if at all there is any price appreciation in the market, on the petrol stations, this is superficial. And the Honorable Minister issued clear warning to the oil marketing companies, indicating that following UNOC's participation in the sole bulk importation business, where it is the government, through the National Oil Company, importing product up to Eldoret, and we are the ones supplying the oil marketing companies, we have not changed any product pricing up to Eldoret for the supplies that continue coming into the market. Of course, we continue to monitor the conflict, and we continue to study what the implications could be after April, and as these matters evolve, we will keep the nation updated on the circumstances. But for now, through March and April, the country is assured of sufficient supply of petroleum products, and we wanted to provide that assurance.
Uganda, get ready for an unforgettable experience. Join thousands of runners and culture lovers at the Mbarara City Marathon 2026, happening Saturday, the 28th of March 2026, starting at 6 a.m. at Mogaba Palace, Kamukuzi in Mbarara City. This year's theme proudly celebrates the biggest culture and heritage of the long-horned cattle in the land of honey and milk, a symbol of identity, pride, and tradition in Uganda. Come and run through the cultural heartland where heritage meets tourism and sport. Choose your race: 42 kilometers, 21 kilometers, 10 kilometers, or 5 kilometers. The guest of honor will be the Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, highlighting Uganda's rich culture and tourism. Register today and get your marathon kit at www.mbararacitymarathon.com or dial *272 *11#. Proudly sponsored by Tusker Light, Grace and Family Concepts, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Uganda, Nyakayojo Sacco, Explore Uganda, Textile and Prom Home, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Mbarara Farm Lodge, Country Cinema, Arch Motors, and many more. For more information, call 0785 408 422. Mbarara City Marathon 2026, running to celebrate the culture and heritage of the long-horned cattle in the land of honey and milk.
And into sports, the Uganda Under-17 national football team, commonly known as the Uganda Cubs, have intensified their preparations ahead of the upcoming Africa Under-17 Cup of Nations set to take place in Morocco. The team continued with training at the Fufa Technical Center in Jero as they fine-tuned their readiness for the continental showpiece. Speaking from camp, Cubs fullback Simon Peter Sajabi shared his experience so far.
Bring back glory to Uganda. They want to show how we can really play. We have an amazing coach who knows what he's doing, knows what he wants to implement in us, and we have amazing players that can implement his play style very well. Football is very different from the U.S. It's very fast, a lot of running, competitive, strong. So I think that we just play the same way we play here in training, put up a very good fight in the tournament, and hopefully bring the trophy back here to Uganda.
Pool Association of Uganda has started its roadmap to the next elections that will see a replacement of Bob Trubish being replaced at the helm.
The process of elections has not just happened. It is not an event. It has been ongoing since last year. Since last year. We have had, I think, 2 EGMs in relation to that matter. So people have actually been made aware. Anyone who is planning to contest has been knowing that they are going to contest. It is not going to land on them. This is just official to tell them that we have launched. But people have already been preparing. Okay? People have already been preparing. Secondly, we have a deadline to beat. That deadline is 10th June. NCS registration. You know, NCS re-registered associations and federations. So while drafting this roadmap, we put into consideration that. That's why you see the timelines are very tight. It is not our wanting. We would have loved to even do this for 2 years. But NCS, we must submit to them. They must get back to us. One of the requirements for registration is this election. So that is the other reason that explains why the timelines are very close.
The 116th edition of the Kampala Club Chairman's Cup has been launched in Kampala. drawing over 600 participants for this year's multi-sport event.
The tournament will climax with an awards dinner to crown outstanding performers across various disciplines. Kampala Club chairman David Kamukama says the competition will feature 11 sports grouped into racket games, board games and physical games, reflecting the club's commitment to inclusivity and fitness.
This year we have made an adjustment. A member can invite people from outside who are not non-members. So what incentivizes people to come and participate is the sports. First, people go for sports for different reasons. One, to compete, to participate in competition. This is a competitive tournament, Chairman's Cup. They compete and win trophies.
The event is sponsored by Centenary Bank, Uganda Communications Commission, UCC, and Absa Bank. Absa has contributed Uganda shillings 15 million towards the tournament. Absa's head of affluent banking, Winfred Sembatia, says the partnership is aimed at empowering Africa's future, promoting growth opportunities, and strengthening the spirit of sportsmanship.
At ABSA, our purpose is to empower Africa's tomorrow, one story at a time. We believe in the story of sportsmanship. We believe in the story of Kampala Club. And for us, the sponsorship is not really just about us providing money, but it's about creating pathways for growth, exposure, and excellence for Ugandans.
Meanwhile, Public Relations Officer Elvis Fred Mulimba says this year's edition introduces CrossFit as a new addition, expanding the range of activities for participants.
And with that, UBC News Tonight has come to an end. Thank you so much for your company. On behalf of the team working tirelessly behind the scenes, we wish you a good night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Exercise can't be sustained. Eating can't be stopped.